Hey everybody, tis I, Vegeta FH1. I gotta think up a new intro. That thing's just annoying. Anyway, so apparently scientists have discovered where all of our matter is gone. Or at least where 90% of our matter is gone. Apparently it's strings between galaxies, which I find to be a very an odd image, because if you can imagine, let's say, let's take our own galaxy for example. If you drew strings between all of the solar systems in our galaxy, what you would essentially have is a neural network. Think the internet and how the internet works. Computers, communications between one another, servers, switches, blah 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 blah. List goes on. You could essentially apply that um, terminology to our galaxy. That is bizarre in a fucking way that I don't think there's a word in the English language to describe it. It would tell me quite a few things. Um, One, if it is the case that it would be a sort of neural network where there is some sort of communication between solar systems just on a galactic scale. Um, you'd have you'd have some sort of transfer. Now, that transfer could be fucking anything. Otherwise, there'd be no need for this. Now, if memory serves, the galaxies in our universe are being pushed apart. And they're being pushed apart in a way that does not describe a gravitational pull. Like, say a tornado, you have the outer edge doesn't exactly line up with the inner, and the center spins faster than the outside. So, when you apply that to this kind of theory-ish, you have carbon strings between galaxies. Now, one has to be uh, speeding up. Actually, they both have to be speeding up. But what I find interesting is when you put all the galaxies into one basket and string them up, they all have to be coming outwards from each other. So how the fuck do these strings know when it's connecting from one to the other? How does it know another galaxy isn't going to go straight through that and essentially twist or intertwine two of the strings? Now, these are not physical strings, remember that, and that kind of actually plays into this. But what if it's not used the way we think, and it's A, used to push apart the galaxies, and B, to not exactly to communicate with the galaxies, because that would be an odd concept, but to intertwine them in some way. Trying to fucking image this is actually quite a challenge, but trying to wrap my head around it is kind of problematic. For me specifically, because if I am right, and the galaxies are somehow some kind of neural network, but just on a galactic scale, that would kind of mean that the universe is alive. Which kind of worries me in a way. um, though I suppose it kind of would make sense in a very unorthodox way. The Big Bang being like the single cell organism exploding into life, and it eventually becoming able to multiply through the use of galaxies. That's actually quite scary. That's actually very scary. Um, okay then. Yeah. Yeah, alright. Um, so, right. What we essentially have now, or that we think we understand, is 80 to 90% of the matter in the universe is used to string together the galaxies. Yeah, no matter how I look at that, that's like an internet of galaxies. Or a neural network. Now, it could. Chances are it's not anything like that. But the only other explanation that I could think of is if you could find a galaxy that doesn't have any strings. And that would lead me in the direction of thinking that the galaxies themselves, or rather the strings between galaxies, are some kind of highway. That that is, I know that is fucking out there, but that is the only other explanation I can think of. Which is scarier, actually. Oh yeah, we've got a galaxy of highways. Oh fuck. Aliens. No. But, I don't know, you could use that. You could use that very, very easily. We'd have a hard time um, coming up with ways for things like hyperspace and warp drive or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But what if you could use those strings for a type of matter transfer? Bleh, fucking hell, English. Matter transfer. Now, it is granted a massive distance and requires a shit ton of energy, but you could use that. Now, I don't know what you'd be able to use it. No, I know exactly what you'd be able to use it for. Teleportation. Simple as. Like, if you could bounce the signal of a matter transfer between atoms in the string you could teleport yourself to a different fucking galaxy. Now, that is based on the assumption that we could create matter transfer in any sizable way. Although I say that, we have things that are similar nowadays. Or, well, sort of. It's very basic, but batteries, or specifically car batteries. It is, as I said, extremely basic. But essentially that would be the idea. Taking the concept of a car battery and applying it to the atoms of the strings from galaxies. Now, I have no idea how the fuck you'd achieve this. I do know you'd need a shit ton of energy. But I also don't know where the hell you'd end up in the galaxy. And I don't think there's a way of calculating that. I'll give that more thought. That's kind of, yeah. How to determine where you'd pop up in a galaxy using matter transfer between the strings. I actually think I have a rough idea now. Though you'd have to determine, I'm going to use these words very controversially, north and south of a galaxy, which you can tell by its spin. Oh god, yeah, no, I'd have to wrap my head around that a little bit more. But, yeah, back to the topic at hand. The strings between galaxies. Ah, man, if they had discovered something like that earlier, I could have kind of, well, I'd have more time to do it, but I don't know, this is new fucking news in the science community, so a lot of people are like, what the hell do they mean? I don't know, when I picture the entire thing, it looks like a neural network. Wait a second. What if each... no, because they age. If they age, there's no standard. If there's no standard, there's no way to label them. Sorry, thinking out loud. I'm thinking about the stars in the solar systems around the galaxy. Or rather, in the galaxy. But trying to apply that on the galactic scale, so I'm actually thinking about the center of the galaxy being labeled as something as, let's say, a relay point between the galaxies. So you'd have to be able to actively distinguish the center of galaxies between other galaxy centers. No, I'll have to play around with that idea. That I think could actually lead to catastrophe. But then again, where the fuck did the strings come from to begin with? Because last I checked, there's not a machine on the edge of our fucking galaxy that's creating a fucking string of carbon and atoms between galaxies. So, the only other explanation for that is the center. But I have... What the fuck? I'd actually have to see the data, the raw data myself, before I'd come to a conclusion on that. I hope more scientists actually confirm this. Well, if they do, then we can concrete it. And if we can concrete that, we can base theories on it. Yeah, no, I'm spacing out because my brain is still ticking away as to what it could possibly be and how we can use it. Because no matter what, like, we have our fucking troubles in the world now, but in a couple of fucking 100 years, the human race won't be at each other's throat. Hopefully. If we're going to spread between the stars, we have to be able to find a way to get there. It's not exactly the way I want to word it, but we'd have to be able to find a way to get back and forth between galaxies. But hell, between stars, or star systems. Between solar systems, Jesus Christ, brain. It's a long way away, but ideas are springing up. Yeah. So, I hope they actually find what they were originally looking for, which was dark matter. Because that's going to make things very interesting. But, yeah. Strings between galaxies. That's actually fucking bizarre. No matter what way I look at it. I hope they're able to confirm it. I really am. Because that would turn everything on its fucking head. Right, anyway. That's what I'm thinking about at the moment. So, yeah. I'll see you again. Bye.